It is the issue that in the end could rip the Republican Party to pieces or galvanize a nation to see the GOP as somebody seeking answers instead of being part of the problem. Where must Republicans go from here to band together on immigration, or is that even possible? While we're here, is it possible that Hillary Clinton and her roving band of policy wonks were watching the Republican debate this week and actually got a chill of concern over what and who could be coming their way? There have been charges of systemic racism at college campuses, such as at the University of Missouri. Some are asking for proof, and even more are wondering who is to blame for an education system where everyone seems to be offended, only sometimes for the right reasons. And it's past time for someone to take a stand and take this incessant blaming of the media for political ills head on. Get out the flak jacket and buckle up. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hardline for Thursday, November 12th, 2015.
You're going to have a deportation force, and you're going to do it humanely, and you're going to bring the country, and frankly, the people, because you have some excellent, wonderful people, some fantastic people that have been here for a long period of time. Don't forget, Mika, that you have millions of people that are waiting online to come into this country, and they're waiting to come in legally.
For a good part of the nation, hearing Donald Trump use the words a deportation force, talking about immigration, conjured up images of a time when people were dumped on roadsides on the other side of the border, and from a global sense, concern for much worse. But following the GOP debate, a resounding number of poll respondents reacted in favor of Trump's idea. Almost half of those questioned said he is the best candidate to handle the issue of immigration. But where are specifics? Where's the devil in the details? And is it even possible for the Republican Party to be united on the immigration front come next November, regardless of who's standing on the podium election night? Don't fear either the questions or the answers, so let's get to work. He is the media director for FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, Ira Mehlman, joined by columnist for the Philadelphia Daily News and also an immigration attorney, Christine Flowers. I want to thank you both for joining us. And Ira, I'm going to begin with you. The words deportation force, yet Donald Trump says we will do it humanely. Is that possible?
Well, deportation is one tool in the toolbox for dealing with mass illegal immigration. We're not going to be able to deport millions of people from this country. What we can do is rely on the fact that people make rational decisions. We have millions of illegal aliens in the country because they're behaving rationally. We incentivize illegal immigration. We tell people that you're going to be able to get jobs when you get here. You're going to be able to get access to benefits and services. We're not going to enforce our laws. What we need to do is systematically reverse those expectations, start disincentivizing illegal immigration. When we catch people, we should remove them. But for most people, we're going to have to create the expectation that you're not going to benefit by breaking our laws and rely on them to respond rationally, just as they responded rationally coming here illegally.
Granted, you're exactly right. You have to be rational about it. However, please answer this question, though. When he says that you can do it and you can do it humanely, there are those who say it will cost billions of dollars to do it. And as John Kasich said, well, wait a minute, let me get to this even. Before you answer that, here is John Kasich taking Donald Trump's plan to deal with immigrants, illegal immigrants, to task. This was during the debate on Tuesday night. Here's what he said.
For the 11 million people, come on, folks, we all know you can't pick them up and ship them back across the border. It's a silly argument. It's not an adult argument. It makes no sense.
So there's the question, Ira. Is it just a silly argument if you put it in those terms? Or does Donald Trump have a point?
Well, I think what you're seeing between Trump and Kasich are the two polar extremes here. And neither of the polar extremes is going to work. What we need to do is have some sensible middle ground. The choices aren't between mass deportation and mass amnesty. It is between sensible enforcement policy that includes deportation, includes disincentivizing illegal immigration, and relying on the fact that over time, we will see a diminishment in the number of people living in this country illegally. We don't have to have perfection. What we need is a policy in place that serves the interests of the American people. And if the Republicans want to propose a policy that unites the American people, it's one that begins from the premise that our immigration policy is there to serve and protect the interests of the American people.
Okay. Let me get it right there. You're right there. Christine, let me come to you then, because the words sensible were used here, and I saw you shaking your head as well. Isn't that what we're always missing in this argument? Look, Donald Trump may be right on one side, John Kasich is right on another, but we've got to be sensible about this if you're going to take care of it, and you can't just go ahead and dump 11 million people over a border.
Yeah. Hi, Ed. I find myself actually in agreement with what Ira is saying. There has to be, you can't go to the polar opposites. You can't, on the one hand, have the mass cattle cars sending people out of the country, and on the other hand, you can't simply do a mass legalization as happened in 1986, which caused huge problems and huge backlogs. And that's why people who are trying to come into the country legally are facing up to 20 years delays. So I agree with what Ira is saying, and I think that to be sensible, we need to add some pragmatism with some compassion and humanity. I deal on a regular basis with mixed families, and when we talk about what's in the best interest of the American people, that's very true. But what we don't always look at is that American people, they compose families that are hybrids with both individuals who are here legally and have permission to be here, U.S. citizens and permanent residents, and people who are not, who may be parents. So if you're looking at it from a humane perspective, we have to figure out a way that we're not going to be separating these families. When you look at it from an economic perspective, we have to make sure that, as Ted Cruz seemed to want to do a couple of years ago, we need to increase the number of visas that are available for workers.
Okay, wait, I'm going to have to stop you there because only for time, but I want to make sure we hit right there. When we talk about best interests as well and getting it done, Christine, aren't we talking about an immigration system in this country that is not just broken, it has been shattered in the last several decades here. People are sitting here who want to come into this country, they want to become citizens, they want to do it legally, yet we still haven't fixed the problem that has people waiting 10, 15, 20 years to become citizens. Is that not the bigger crux of the issue here?
Absolutely, Ed, and we have a system which is a mammoth. It's too big, and we've got the Department of Labor involved. We've got the Department of Justice. When they created the Department of Homeland Security, they created another mammoth, which is a problem. And I think, I deal with individuals who are employers who want to get skilled workers into the United States, and they're looking at 2 to 3 years in processing. They can't keep a job open that long for them. So absolutely, we need to fine-tune the system to get the people in the country that we want to be here that are going to build up our economy.
Ira, here it comes then. There are people in this country who are here illegally, who do not want to become citizens. There are criminals here. There are people who are here on dark reasons, whatever you want to call it here. But aren't those the ones we need to be going after here? And the second part of that question is, can the Republican Party come together and decide something that will go after the bad guys, if you will, the bad seeds, but keep the good people here and make everybody happy?
Well, look, there's nobody says we shouldn't prioritize the removing of people who really pose a threat to American society, but it doesn't mean that you cease to enforce all other laws. Our immigration laws were put in place to protect the interests of the American people, their jobs, their children's education, all the things that are important to them. Just because they're not out committing crimes doesn't mean that it benefits the American people. So we need to prioritize, but we also need to send a clear message that we mean to enforce our immigration laws in the interest of the American people. And that's where immigration reform needs to start. We need to define a public interest objective. Our policy has no public interest objective right now. It's just chaos. We bring in people based on who they're related to, irrespective of their personal qualifications. We need to come up with a definition of what we hope to achieve, then design a system that meets those goals.
Christina, from the other side and from the lawyer side, I saw you again shaking your head because that's it. We're not talking about letting everybody stay here for whatever reason, but we are talking about making it good for America, good for American business, good for the American economy. Here's the question, though, and you know this as an attorney. Can the Republicans do that, bring themselves together, and get themselves back on the side of the Hispanic vote and the immigration vote?
Not judging from the debate earlier this week, there are rank divisions, and I don't really think that we want to appear to be catering to the Hispanic vote simply because we want to win an election. The Hispanic vote is one discrete part of the population that's going to be affected by immigration reform. But it can't appear, as Donald Trump appears to be, it can't appear to be wagging the finger in the face of an entire ethnicity and saying, you can't be here, we don't need you want you here. By the same token, we cannot just allow our immigration policy to be defined by what that ethnicity or that group finds to be in its best interest. We need to find a happy median somewhere.
Quickly then, Christine, whom do you think, as far as the GOP candidates are concerned, 10 seconds, is the one person who could do this?
Rubio.
No doubt, even though some people say that he flips.
I think Marco Rubio can do it. I absolutely do, and he has the understanding for it.
Ira, let me ask you the same question then. Who's the person that you see that can get this done?
Well, we can't endorse anybody, but I think it's the person who places the interest of the American people at the center of immigration reform. If we go through the same process of saying, what do we do for the people who broke our laws? What do we do for business interests that want cheap labor? We're never going to get to a resolution on this issue. We need to begin from the premise that it is the immigration policy of the American people, and it needs to serve their interests.
Didn't want to put you on the spot, but you nailed it right on the head. That's exactly what we need. Ira Mehlman, Christine Flowers, I want to thank you both for being here. We will do this again. Now, here's a battle no one seems able to stop. How to stop billions of dollars being wasted, your tax dollars, at a certain agency. We'll tell you all about it next on The Hardline.